On pricing. So I had this question earlier. We've had a look at this in previous calls, but yeah, I had a bunch of questions over the last week about pricing, and I just wanted to touch on it again and just reiterate a couple of things. The first one being that, and I've said this a lot, you guys have heard me say this, the fastest way for most tour and activity businesses to grow their business is just through pricing right, getting their pricing right, pricing for maximum profit. Okay, so forget, you know, product development or new sales channels or new marketing initiatives or whatever it is that's, takes resources, time, financial, whatever it is. The fastest way for anyone to grow their business is by getting their pricing right. And I was, I saw this firsthand when I understood this, when I up-leveled my range of experiences, when I priced it accordingly at maximum profit in a way that felt really, really good for my business. I went from around 250 grand a year in annual revenue to 7 figures in about 18 months. Like, it happened really, really quickly and really, really easily. And I was surprised by how easy it was, surprised by the lack of pushback and resistance, surprised by my ability to justify the premium prices I was charging. It all just happened really quickly, and it worked really, really well. So this is the way that I did it, and it's got to be a system. There's got to be a system to your pricing as well. Okay, so I've had a few people wanting me to revisit this worksheet and just run through it just to make sure that people understand it. So we'll just spend 5 minutes or so on this. So this is something that's at the moment in the Inside the Tour Business resources. And what I'm going to do after this call, I'm just going to grab this little chunk of this video and I'm going to drop it into our main coaching program with that, with this worksheet. So people have a really clear idea as to how I price, how they can just follow the formula that I use for like, it's a recipe for success. Okay. I was having a chat with Len Brown, who's in the program. He runs Brazos Bluffs Ranch, like in Texas. He does like really awesome trail rides, sunset trail rides. And I was having a chat with him a couple of weeks ago, and he implemented this, he adopted this and repriced all his experiences a few weeks ago. Well, actually, it's probably a little longer than that. Maybe 6 months ago, to be honest. But what he found, so in the month of April and in the month of May, his revenue increased by over 20%. So something like $22,000 to $25,000 in additional revenue per month. So extrapolate that out and see what that means for Lem's business over the calendar year, if he can continue to replicate that. But he did about 10% less business. So he sold about 10% less rides, had about 10% fewer customers through the business. All right, which, we can work on that. Obviously, that's, we want to work on increasing those passenger numbers. But ultimately, his business was 10% easier to run, had a 10% of a lower strain on operations and resources and things like that. And he did 20% more revenue just by a simple tweak to the way that he actually priced. So it's pretty awesome. And a lot of you, especially if you're running private tours, should really consider adopting this. So just running through it quickly, I'm going to use an example. This was a worksheet I literally use to price tours in my business. So this one was our Mount Buller Day at the Snow. You can call it whatever tour you like. So what you do, you just come down here, and if you're pricing private tours, you just punch in the number of packs. What's the rate for a private tour for this particular number of passengers? Okay, so 1, you can change that to 2. Let's work with 2. Okay, so you can see these are all your costs of sale, your business operating expenses. You've got your tour guide expense, your fuel, lunches for guests. You've got your tour guide lunch, which is obviously 1. If you're using this worksheet, which you can do one of 2 things. You can just turn these to to 0, or you can just delete them. Okay. It doesn't really matter. So, I'm sure you'll figure that out. It's pretty straightforward. But ultimately, you punch in all your costs of sale here, and then you come out with a number here. So these are your total cost of sale for a private tour for a Mount Buller Day at the Snow for 2 people, right? So then you got to choose your margin. And what you do then is, so you've always got to build in your margin before you're building your commission. Okay, in my experience. And that's what worked for me. So you need to choose a margin that feels really good for you. So in this worksheet, in these formulas, Now, I'm not great at formulas. So if you want to change these formulas, you need to do it yourself or get some support to do that. But we built in a few different options for margins. So based on a 45% gross profit margin, 30% and 20%. Okay. So the way you choose a profit margin, every business is different. It's not a cookie cutter approach. You got to figure out what works well for you and for your business. Okay. What feels good? What is going to make your business really profitable? And so here is what a 45% margin looks like on a private tour for 2 packs, 672 per tour. A 30% margin is 350, 20% margin, 205. Okay. You've got to do what's right for you. Okay. So that's the way you would do it. So therefore you've got the total net price over here based on a 45% gross profit margin, on 30% and on 20%. Okay. Hope that's all clear. So then over here, this, and again, if you want to change this, you need to change the formulas. But this table here shows you what a 45% gross profit margin looks like on each individual number of passengers. Okay. So for example, you can see here, based on 2 packs, you got that, a gross profit of 672, which you can see here. Okay. You got a net price based on 2 packs of 14.94. Okay. It's over there. All right. So you got the total expenses here as well, 822. All right. So therefore you can, there's a few columns here that you may or may not need. You've got the net rate as a total figure. You've got the net rate as a per person number. And you've got, so this is the other part. All right. So this side of the worksheet is set up for 2 things. One is it's set up to automatically apply a 25% commission. Okay. So mark up at 25%. And that's what I recommend, because if you mark up at 25%, gives you the chance to play with anyone, any distributor, any reseller. You can OTAs, agents, some you'll work with at 10%, 12%, 13%, 20%, whatever it is. But if you set your prices at by building in a 25% commission, it gives you scope to work with anyone. So that's what I would always recommend. And you're going to have a lot of success if you do that. Okay. It's not going to be for everyone, but you can have a lot of success if you build in that 25%. So this is also set up based on the 45% margin. Okay. So you've got your net rate based on 2 packs. You've got your costs of sale there. You've got your margin added of 45%, which gives you the net of 14.94, which is protected. That's your margin for the trip. Okay. Broken down into per person, necessary or not necessary. You know, it's just for you to see. That's what it looks like as a per person number. Then it's marked up by 25%. Okay, so that's the total retail rate, and then that's the per person retail rate. Okay, so you can see based on a 45% net profit and based on a 25% built-in commission, the retail rate for a private tour for 1 person is this. For 2 people, correction, I'll do the per person rate here. So yeah, over here. 1592 total. For 2 people is 996. For 3 it's 797 and downwards. So it obviously reduces as the group size increases. Okay. And if you follow that recipe, then you'll have a lot of success with your pricing. You may not go with 45%. You may go with 30%. You need to change this formula here so that the net rate is based not on 45%, but based on 30%. Okay, if that feels right for you. Okay, so that's how you would price your tours. If you're running scheduled tours and group tours, then a simple way is for you got to have a stab in the dark. Okay, so let's say you run an 11-seat Mercedes Sprinter. All right, so you take 10 passengers. You anticipate on average through the course of the year that the average size of your tours is that you're taking 6 people. Okay, so then you would just take that estimate of 6 per tour. You would base your prices on a group of 6. Okay, and then figure out what is profitable to you based on that. Okay, so hopefully that's all clear. I'm going to drop this recording into the members area in week 3, improving business performance, and I'll drop that worksheet in as well. Okay, so yeah, let me know if you've got any questions, guys.
Real quick, Josh, I might have missed the intro to the spreadsheet, and I'm in the spreadsheet. I downloaded the spreadsheet, and I'm looking at it. Just for where would we find the amount we charge? So I see the cost, I see the margin. So if then you're looking at net, let's say 45, let's say I'm looking at the cost of $14.93 or something. I'm looking at the 45% net, then is $27.14.
Yeah. What are you charging?
I don't know. Where do I put that? Or where do we find out what we're charging?
Okay, the price of your tours is here. Okay.
Hold on.
That is the retail rate.
Let me look again. All right. I see. I get it.
All right. The retail rate is the price of your tours. Okay. The net rate is what you receive from a reseller when they sell your tours.
Sure. And that's net. And you can set the net in that one, right? Right now
exactly.
It's at 45%.
No. Then the net is set at 25%. The net includes the gross profit margin. Okay.
Okay.
So one more time, over here, you've got your expenses or cost of sale. So if you're running a trip for 6 people, that trip costs you $1,482. Okay. That's just what it costs you. All right. But you want your business to be profitable. Okay. So what profit margin are you going to attach to the cost of sales and make it profitable? Is it going to be 45? Is it going to be 30? Is it going to be 20? You could choose some other options if you like, but they're the ones I've built in just so people can get a feel. You got to choose something that feels good for you. Okay. So if you decided, you know what, I would like to make $1,212 for every private tour I run for 6 people. That feels pretty good. That means I'm going to be sending out, 4 of these babies a day, 6 days a week. That's a pretty decent business. Okay. So that is what I'm going to go with. So I'm going to choose a 45% margin because that there doesn't feel like I'm fleecing people or, robbing them blind. It just feels like just reward for a really hard, honest day's work. And it's also when I'm scaling up and I'm, bringing on new vehicles and I'm hiring tour guides and things like that, my business needs to be profitable. So that's my margin. So
I don't think we'd ever have to make excuses here for maximizing profit, right? If we do, I think you guys are in the wrong. The charity group meets on Friday.
Yeah, exactly right. Exactly right, mate. So that's that. Now forget about commissions for now. That is protected. That's sacred. That's your margin. Okay. And by attaching that margin, it means that the net rate for your tour is $2,694. All right. And you can see that over here, $2,694. That is what you will receive when you sell a private tour for 6 through a reseller. Okay. When a reseller sells that private tour, they receive $35.92. All right. Because they're making the difference between the $35.92 and the $26.94. Okay. So when you sell a tour direct, then it makes it really, really profitable. Okay. But if anyone ever asks how much your tours cost, that's what they cost. Okay. That's what they cost in total. And that's what they cost per person. That is not, the net rate is not what your tours cost. That's what you receive when someone else sells them.
Right. Okay.
Okay. So therefore, when you're not selling through a reseller, it of course means that, your profit margin is like through the roof. It's amazing. Okay. But you can work with anyone because you know that when you're selling your tours through anyone, you're still making a margin of $1,200.
Josh, my the challenge is for me is in publishing those prices and the difference between a sitting tour and a private tour. So that's just seems like a real balancing act there to be able to have those prices, your ideal prices,
Yeah.
Keep them to you and then revealing them at the precise moment. But when you're publishing the prices and I'm just going, I'm getting a lot of minimum numbers of tours at the moment, which are coming in under minimum numbers.
Yeah.
That's the challenge for me at the moment with numbers being quite low.
So what sort of average numbers are you doing?
Well, I'm getting lots of 2s at the moment, and my minimums to be really profitable are 4.
Okay. So why are you taking the 2s? Why aren't you shuffling them around, or why aren't you saying, look, I'm really sorry, but
I'm doing that. I'm doing that. Yeah. But trying to get the private tours is where I want to be at, where, that price is then discussed and negotiated with one point of contact.
Yep. Okay. So it needs to be clear. You need to be prepared to send people down the road, or to as long as you're super clear at the time of booking.
Yeah.
This tour runs on a minimum 4 people. In the event that this tour doesn't make the maximum numbers, a couple of options. We give you the opportunity to move to a day A or day B, or reschedule for another time. Or, and this you will find if you give people, especially with the international markets, if you give people the chance to upgrade, a lot of people will actually take that opportunity. Okay.
Okay.
But you need to, and then if people like stamp their feet and jump up and down, as long as you are so clear and transparent, bold, it's loud, this tour runs on a minimum of 4 people. Okay. So it's nervy when you're growing, but it also spurs you on as well. It's a great incentivizer, isn't it? To really start. I mean, if you can get 2 people on a tour, why can't you get 4? If you can get 4, why can't you get 8? There's no logical reason why you can't.
Yes. Yeah. Well, that's the other challenge I've got to work on is growing my sales channels, because at the moment it's largely coming through Viator at the moment, and I don't know why that is.
Well, because you haven't probably implemented any other sales channels, and your business needs 4 to 6, maybe 8 sales channels that are all driving business. Let's say 4. Agents, of course. The only way to start driving agent business is to fast track that, and like you've got everything you need to do that. I know it's a time thing. It's one of those catch-22s. How do you're wearing every hat, but also it's there's a tipping point. Okay. And everyone like crosses the desert or climbs the mountain to that tipping point when everything starts to happen. But it happens with hard work, and I know you're working hard. But there's the more sales channels you can open up, then the faster that's going to happen. Are you the number one? Is every hotel concierge that could legitimately sell your trips? So they know everything about you. Are you best amazing? Are you on the phone? Like, are they hearing from you once a week? Are you pounding the pavement? Are those agents? Are you in regular weekly contact, piecing together that sales trip up to Sydney, so you can get in front of all those ITOs? Tourism Tasmania, I know some great people over there. Are they using you? Are you like, I'm open for any familiar opportunity that exists? I'm like, Tourism Australia, are you building relationships over there? There's obvious and logical things, and these are all different sales channels. And if you're relying on one sales channel, especially in OTA, then it's no. So I've talked about this a lot. You need to open up a bunch of. That is the way you're gonna reach that tipping point where everything starts to flow and everything starts to fall into place.
It's
all right.
Really hard at the moment. It is a time issue, a capacity issue. Nice analogy. I do feel like I'm in the desert at the moment.
Yeah. Well, you're crossing the desert is a good analogy. So what time issue, as in, I've got a question for you, Sam. I just want to show you something in the program. You had a question for me earlier. But is your time issue that you're running tours all the time?
Oh, a bit of that, but just family too. Yeah.
Okay.
Young kids.
So, yeah, and I get it. I'm sure a lot of people in this room get it as well. I guess I was fortunate, that I did a lot of my hard graft pre-kids, so by the time I started having kids, it was a little different for me. So I'm totally appreciative of that.